Hi, I'd like to talk about two whites. We covered two reds last week. I'm going to give you a little variety here because not everybody likes reds, not everybody likes whites, and even if you like both, it's fine to talk about both. So we'll do that. Let's start out with two of the more popular ones, more well known. The first of those is Chardonnay. Now, I have to be honest here, I personally do not care for Chardonnay. It's not that it's a bad, evil wine, I just don't particularly like the flavor of it. Some people like black licorice, some people don't. I don't. So if you like black licorice and you like Chardonnay, that's great. Now, just because you like one doesn't mean you like the other. So anyway, that's it. Chardonnay is kind of gone through around different evolutions and different styles. Now, we have not talked about this a lot, but different regions and different vineyards and vintners do grapes differently. Even though they're the same grape, you may or may not have the same style of wine with that same grape. For example, Europeans tend to be a little bit more austere with the way they do some things, and they're geared a little bit more towards food and dining. The California wines tend to be a little more in the range of, well, let's just sit down and have a glass of wine, not necessarily with food. So let's go back to Chardonnay. If you get a California Chardonnay, oftentimes it's going to be what they call buttery. You're going to possibly smell it, and in fact, very likely smell it on the nose. You take a sniff of it, and I'm sorry, this is a red, but I don't like Chardonnay, I already told you that. So might get some notes of butter, kind of like buttered popcorn, and then when you taste it, you'll again have that buttery flavor. Now that comes from the aging in oak barrels. The wine draws that out, draws the flavors out from that oak, which is one of the reasons that the wine is aged in oak. There are other reasons too. Now you can also get a steel fermented. In other words, they take a big steel vat and put it in there and let it do its fermentation with no oak involved. That will give it a little bit cleaner, crisper taste. Not necessarily crisp in the sense of sour or tart, but a little bit more refreshing. So there's two different ways to do it there. You've got the steel fermentation and you've got the oak fermentation. Both of them from a California style tend to be a little bit bigger and bold is not quite the right word for white, but a little bit more in your face, and you can really have that flavor. Chardonnay will pair well with heavier fishes, lobster for example, shellfish in that case, anything that's got some real aroma and flavor to it. If it's a lighter fish like a cod or a halibut or something, you probably want to go with a lighter wine. Chardonnay is definitely kind of the king of the whites. Now let's take another one, Pinot Grigio. This is a Pinot family, and you'll run across other Pinots, Pinot Noir being the most common, which is a dark wine, Noir being black. Grigio is actually Italian for gray, or you also find it as Pinot Gris, G-R-I-S. So both of them are the same thing. This is just two different names for the same wine. The Pinot Grigios tend to be a lot crisper. Now, when we talk about crisp in a wine, generally speaking, you're talking about the tartness, a high level of acidity. Now, that acid, that bite to it, some people just like it on its own. If you've ever had, Squirt, the sassy one, the soft drink, it's made from grapefruit, and it has kind of those same characteristics. A little bit tart, and it gives a real refreshing flavor or feel to the mouth. So Pinot Gris, Pinot Grigio, those tend to do that. Now they also have their own uniquenesses about them. Pinot Gris tends to be more citrusy flavored, again light, tart. Goes well again with seafood, but here is what you would drink if you were having a lighter seafood, like the cod, the halibut, those types of things. I'm not a big seafood fan either, so I can't tell you a lot about that. Pinot Gris is also good with some other things. A lot of your appetizers will go well with it. Salads is another thing that you could serve Pinot Gris with. Kind of depends. You're going to have to look at what you're serving as that appetizer or salad and see how well they're going to blend together. So, just a little recap there. We got two different whites, Chardonnay and Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio. Either one, same thing. You can find both of them from lots of different parts of the world. Most of them you can find as a domestic product out of California, for example, but you can also find Chardonnay and Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio from other parts of the world. So enjoy. I hope you have some good experiences. Be sure to let me know that you learned something. Give me a thumbs up if you learned something from this video, and welcome your comments. Just comments down there someplace, and be share and tell your friends about this too. If you're learning things and finding out more about wine that you really are enjoying it, share this site with your friends. You know, I got some things that are coming up for you for a group of wine drinkers I think you'll really enjoy. So this would be a good time to get your friends involved too. So with that said, and I know it's not white, but cheers anyway.